When you hear the name Billy the Kid, you probably get this instant picture, right? Lightning-fast gunslinger, maybe. A total legend of the American West.
Yeah. He's this almost mythical figure. It's amazing how his short, really violent life became this global, enduring story.
It really is. And
Uh,
the story itself, well, it's just tangled up with sensationalism, isn't it? The
yeah.
line between the man and the myth gets incredibly blurry.
Oh, absolutely. His impact on, the American imagination is huge, especially when you think he died so young.
So today we're doing a deep dive into the real story. William H. Bonney, or as everyone knows him, Billy the Kid.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission, really, is to try and cut through some of those tall tales. We want to pull out the key bits of information, the stuff that actually matters.
Right, to give you a clearer, sort of well-informed picture of this iconic figure, beyond just the gunfights.
Exactly. And we're drawing on quite a range of stuff here.
We are. We've looked at historical novel reviews, GCSE history notes even, accounts from Pat Garrett himself.
Pat Garrett, yeah. And of course, modern analyses looking into all the legends and the controversies around his death.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Because his origins, they're really not the Hollywood cowboy story you might expect, are they?
Not at all. He was born Henry McCarty, New York City, late 1859, in an Irish neighborhood.
And his childhood sounds, well, pretty turbulent from the get-go.
Definitely. Father died young. His mother, Catherine, sometimes called Kathleen, she moved the family around a lot. Kansas, Colorado, finally settling in New Mexico.
Okay.
And what's really fascinating here is how that early life, marked by instability, loss, seems to set him on this path even before he was famous or infamous.
So his mother remarried?
She did, to a man named Antrim, but he later abandoned the boys, and then Catherine herself died. Tuberculosis. Henry was just 15.
15. Wow.
Yeah. And Billy, or Henry back then, he later said it was the tyranny and cruelty of his stepfather that drove him away from home and, quote, to the bad.
That suggests a real sense of abandonment, doesn't it? A definite turning point. It really does. And things escalated quickly after that loss.
Yeah, it looks like his first documented crime was stealing food. And it was exactly 1 year after his mother died.
That timing is striking, isn't it? Then, just 10 days later, he robs a Chinese laundry clothes, pistols. That's his first time in jail.
He didn't stay long?
Nope. Escaped 2 days later. The Silver City Herald reported it, so now he's officially a fugitive.
Right.
From there, he steals more stuff from his stepfather, flees to Arizona territory, starts stealing horses.
But didn't his first killing happen even earlier?
It did, apparently, around age 12. He supposedly stabbed a man in Silver City for insulting his mother.
12 years old.
Yeah. And that act, according to some accounts, led to him being called an outcast, a wanderer, even self-baptized in human blood. Pretty intense language.
Extremely. Yet he supposedly kept this devotion to good women.
Right. It points to this complex inner world, maybe, caught between different things.
It's a stark contrast.
Mm-hmm.
So later on, he loses his horse to Apaches, gets nursed back to health, then joins a gang of rustlers.
Exactly. Raiding John Chisholm's cattle herds in Lincoln County, he partnered up with someone he called Alias.
Alias, okay.
And they killed 3 Chiricahua Apache Indians near Fort Bowie, stealing their ponies and supplies. Billy apparently called it about the softest thing I ever struck.
Chilling. Gives you a sense of his mindset.
It does. And this period shows his rapid descent into more serious outlawry. He wasn't just rustling.
Yeah.
He became known as a star gambler, a Monte dealer that was a popular card game back then in places like Tucson.
Yeah, the violence continued.
Oh, yeah. Killed a soldier blacksmith at Fort Bowie. Apparently, the guy was a bully, refused to pay card winnings. That got Billy kicked out of Arizona.
So he heads to Mexico.
Sonora. Teams up with Moquiedes Segura. They kill another Monte dealer, Don Jose Martinez, again over cards. Martinez was apparently bullying him.
And Billy challenges him first.
Reportedly asks him, Jose, do you fight as bravely with that pistol as you do with your mouth? Then shoots him.
Doesn't sound like someone to mess with at the card table.
Definitely not. Then, in Chihuahua City, after a bad run at cards, he and Segura rob a dealer who then just disappears. Mysteriously.
Huh.
They also held up 3 other wealthy Monte dealers, left town with what they called Spanish gold.
Quite this spree. But it's Lincoln County, New Mexico, where things really escalate, right? This is where that line between outlaw and, regulator gets super blurry.
Exactly. And this is what really propels him into a much larger conflict, into the national spotlight, in a way.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, The Lincoln County War wasn't just some local feud.
Not at all. It was like this crucible. It solidified Billy's reputation. It shows how these violent conflicts shaped identities out west. It was basically a power struggle.
Between who?
Two big factions. You had James Dolan's group, known as the House, a powerful business outfit.
Okay.
And then you had John Tunstall and Alexander McSween, backed by the big cattleman John Chisholm. They were all fighting for control of dry goods, cattle, basically the economy of the region.
And how does Billy get involved in that?
Well, ironically, he was first jailed for stealing Tunstall's horses.
Right.
But then Tunstall actually hires him as a cowboy, a ranch hand.
Strange turn of events.
It is. The war itself really kicked off over this dispute about an insurance policy. McSween refused to pay out to the House because he thought their claim was dodgy.
And Billy sides with Tunstall and McSween.
Yep. He becomes a key member of their armed group, the Lincoln County Regulators, which were essentially a vigilante posse.
Right, regulators. Sounds official, but not really.
Not really, no. And the defining moment, the thing that really set Billy off, was the murder of John Tunstall.
Who killed him?
A deputy sheriff, William Morton, and his posse ambushed and killed him, February 1878. That just ignited this intense rage in Billy. He vowed vengeance.
So he becomes a regulator seeking revenge.
Pretty much. He and other regulators ambush and kill Sheriff William Brady, the sheriff who had deputized Tunstall's killers. Billy himself gets wounded in that fight.
And the revenge cycle just keeps going.
It does. Morton and another man involved in Tunstall's murder, Baker, they get captured. They're promised safe passage back to Lincoln.
But Billy wasn't having that.
Not at all. He fiercely opposed that promise. He wanted blood, and, well, things went sideways during the escort.
How so?
One of the regulators killed a posse member who'd vouched for the prisoner's safety. Then, Billy reportedly shot Morton and Baker as they tried to run for it.
So much for safe passage.
Exactly. And after the regulator captain got killed, Billy basically took charge, became the leader.
And did he fulfill his vow about Tunstall's killers?
He did. He tracked down and killed another one. An ex-soldier named Roberts got wounded himself in the face by a bullet fragment during that fight. It shows this relentless, single-minded pursuit of revenge.
That pursuit leads straight to the Battle of Lincoln, doesn't it?
It does. July 1878. Billy and about 18 of his gang are holed up in McSween's house. They're besieged by Sheriff Pepin and roughly 40 men.
Sounds like a siege movie.
Pretty much. Then it gets even more intense. A Lieutenant Colonel Dudley shows up with army troops, infantry, even artillery.
The army gets involved.
Yeah. Dudley basically says he'll fire on anybody shooting over his command's position. Things escalate. The house gets set on fire. Coal oil.
And Billy, still inside.
Still inside, refuses to surrender. Apparently even hit one of his own men who suggested it.
Wow. Just defiance till the end.
Total defiance. In the chaos, he shoots and kills a cattle owner named Robert Beckwith right near the eye.
And then he escapes from a burning building surrounded by enemies.
Somehow, yeah. The accounts are dramatic. Jumps over Beckwith's body, picks up a dead friend, Morris, and just flees through the chaos, unharmed.
Incredible. How many died in that battle?
The battle left 7 dead. Pretty brutal end to that phase.
So after Lincoln, did things calm down for him?
Not really. He just went back to his old ways, stealing horses, mules, continued lawlessness.
Or killing.
Yep. Killed a bookkeeper at an Indian agency. The guy tried to stop Billy's gang from stealing horses.
And what about John Chisholm? The big cattleman.
Yeah. Billy apparently developed this mortal hatred for Chisholm. Felt Chisholm owed him assistance or payment for his regulator activities and never delivered.
So holding grudges too.
Seems like it. There's also this story from Fort Sumner where he supposedly cowed some boastful buffalo hunter just with his presence and maybe a few words. Shows his reputation, his intimidation factor.
He must have had quite the presence, but the law eventually caught up again.
It did. Arrested again, March 1879, with a guy named Folliard. He was held comfortably at first, apparently.
But that changed.
Yeah, moved to what he called a horribly dismal hole of a jail, and that's where he scratched that famous message on the door.
The one about hoping he'd never be incarcerated again.
That's the one. William Bonney was incarcerated first time, second time, and hope I never will be again, W.H. Bonney. Didn't quite work out that way.
Clearly not. Then there's the Joe Grant killing in 1880.
Right. Fort Sumner again. This guy Grant had been bragging he was going to kill Billy. Foolish move. So Grant apparently tries to draw on John Chisholm, or maybe James Chisholm, accounts very slightly, but Billy supposedly spins Grant's pistol cylinder so the hammer falls on an empty chamber.
Well, Grant is drawing. That's fast thinking.
Incredibly fast. Then Billy shoots Grant dead, right in the brain.
And then he casually demonstrates his aim.
Yeah, starts shooting snowbirds off a fence, apparently to illustrate his point, maybe linking it back to his threat against Chisholm, who was present. Cold-blooded confidence.
So this leads to Pat Garrett intensifying his pursuit.
Exactly. Garrett becomes sheriff, and he really goes after Billy's gang. Folliard, Beaudreau, Pickett, Rudabaugh, Wilson.
And Garrett starts picking them off.
He does. He shoots Tomo Folliard. Folliard dies, asking Garrett to put him out of his misery.
Grim.
Very. Then Garrett traps Billy, Rudabaugh, Beaudreau, and Wilson in this stone house, Wilcox's ranch.
And key moment happens there.
Pivotal. Garrett shoots Billy's horse. It falls dead, partially blocking their only way out, effectively. Then, tragically, Charlie Beaudreau comes out of the house. Garrett mistakes him for Billy in the poor light or confusion and shoots him dead.
Oh, man. Mistaken identity.
Yeah. And despite Billy apparently vowing he'd never yield himself a prisoner and would die fighting, that blocked exit. It forced his hand. He surrendered.
A strategic move, you said. Not giving up the fight, just no way out.
Seems that way. A calculated surrender under impossible circumstances.
So he's captured. What happens next? The trial.
Trial at Mesilla, March 1881. He's actually acquitted of one murder Roberts killing.
Oh.
But convicted for Sheriff Brady's murder. Sentenced to hang May 13th, 1881, back in Lincoln.
And he's held in the old Murphy and Dolan building, his enemy's former stronghold.
The irony, right. Guarded by two deputies, J.W. Bell, who Billy apparently liked,
okay,
and Robert Ollinger. And they hated each other. Ollinger was friends with Beckwith, the man Billy killed at the Battle of Lincoln.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
And it was. April 28th, 1881, Billy escapes. Again. He somehow gets a gun, shoots Deputy Bell. The bullet apparently ricocheted first. Billy supposedly throws his handcuffs at Bell's body, saying, "Here, damn you, take these too."
Cold.
Then he grabs Ollinger's own shotgun, loaded with buckshot. Ollinger's across the street, maybe having lunch, as Ollinger comes back.
Billy's waiting.
Waiting on the balcony, calls out, "Hello, boy," and shoots him twice, whittled with buckshot. Then he breaks the shotgun over the railing, throws the pieces down at Ollinger's body.
And says what?
"Take it, damn you. You won't follow me anymore with that gun." Then he escapes. Still shackled initially, but gets a file later.
An absolutely audacious escape. Where was Garrett?
Conveniently or inconveniently, depending on your view, Garrett was out of town, collecting taxes at White Oaks.
So Billy's free again. But not for long.
Not for long. July 13th, 1881, Garrett gets a tip, maybe, heads to Pete Maxwell's ranch with two deputies, John Poe and Thomas McKinney.
And Billy's there.
Billy walks into Maxwell's darkened bedroom. He's fluent in Spanish, remember? He asks in Spanish, who comes there? He's carrying a gun and a butcher knife.
Garrett's in the room.
Garrett's there, talking quietly with Maxwell. Garrett whispers, "Who is it, Pete?" Maxwell says, "That's him." Extremely. Billy then apparently raises his pistol, maybe sensing something, maybe seeing figures in the dark, gets close to Garrett, asks again in Spanish, "Who's that?"
And Garrett?
Garrett draws fast, fires two shots. The first hits Billy right in the chest near the heart.
And that's it.
That's it. Billy never spoke. Garrett described a struggle, a gasping sound, and then silence. The kid was with his many victims.
So what does this all mean? That final confrontation, it sounds almost anticlimactic after everything else. A quick couple shots in the dark.
It does seem that way. And it raises that important question. Garrett's own account mentions Billy hesitated, raised his pistol, asked the question, but didn't fire instantly.
Which was unlike him.
Completely unlike him, according to Garrett. Garrett noted Billy's gun had cartridges in it, one spent shell, hammer resting on it. He wrote it was the first time he ever lost his presence of mind or failed to shoot first.
A fatal hesitation.
Perhaps. A swift, almost abrupt end to such a chaotic life.
So what happens right after?
Well, a coroner's jury is convened pretty quickly. Honorable M. Rudolph is the foreman. They rule Garrett's killing of Billy was a justifiable homicide.
Okay, standard procedure. And the burial.
July 15th, 1881. Buried at the military cemetery at Fort Sumner, and Garrett specifically mentioned the body was buried intact.
Why emphasize that?
To counter rumors and opportunists. Apparently there were already people claiming they had parts of Billy's body to exhibit. Garrett mentions one medical gentleman convincing people he had Billy's bones strung upon wires.
Grim souvenirs. People really wanted a piece of the legend.
Seems so. But the grave itself, that's another layer of uncertainty.
How so?
A big flood in 1904 apparently washed away the grave markers at the cemetery. Years later, 3 surviving pallbearers were asked to identify the spot. They all pointed to 3 different graves. So honestly, it's impossible to tell which of the bodies in the cemetery are his.
So we don't even know for sure where he's buried.
Not with certainty. Someone, Robert Stahl, tried in 2015 to get a belated death certificate issued, but that didn't succeed either. The ambiguity remains.
And that kind of ambiguity, well, it just fuels the hoax theories, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It leaves the door open for speculation.
Let's talk about those. First, Pat Garrett's reward. Did he get paid? Because sometimes you hear that was disputed.
He did get paid. The $500 bounty from Governor Lew Wallace, he actually got it twice, once after the initial capture and again after the killing.
Twice.
Yeah. There was a delay initially, but it seems it was more about bureaucratic wording. You know, the reward said apprehended, not killed, and was it a personal offer or territorial?
Yeah.
Technicalities.
Okay.
But the district attorney ruled Garrett's actions justifiable, and eventually a legislative act in 1882 officially declared Garrett justly entitled to the reward. So yes, the money was paid, no conspiracy there.
Right. So the big one. Brushy Bill Roberts.
Ah, Brushy Bill, the most famous claimant. He comes forward decades later saying he is Billy the Kid.
And he had details, didn't he? Things that sounded convincing.
He did offer a lot of supposed insider knowledge. Things like knowing about black soldiers with Colonel Dudley, which was mentioned in Walter Noble Burns' 1926 book, The Saga of Billy the Kid.
Okay.
Details about lawyer payments, a letter Billy supposedly wrote to Governor Wallace about a murder he didn't commit, the layout of the McSween house during the siege.
Specific stuff.
Very specific, how Deputy Bell died from a ricochet. Even knowing about a scarf given to Billy by Delavina Maxwell, a detail supposedly only known through a private letter found later.
And he had people vouching for him, affidavits.
He did present affidavits, signed by folks he claims were surviving friends, names like Severo Gallegos, Jose Montoya, even Jesse Evans, purportedly confirming he was Billy.
Okay, so that sounds potentially compelling. Yeah. But what stands out to you about how these claims hold up against the actual historical record?
Well, when you really dig in, the verifiable evidence, eyewitness accounts, official documents, it all points very strongly towards Garrett killing Billy the Kid that night in 1881.
Right.
The enduring mystery, it feels like it comes more from, sensationalism, people wanting a more exciting ending, maybe, than from real factual ambiguity.
So what about Brishy's evidence, those affidavits?
Problem is, many of the people who signed them were actually way too young in 1881 or weren't even born yet. So how could they reliably identify him decades later? It's highly questionable.
Okay, that's a big hole. What about the facial recognition study? That gets mentioned a lot.
Yeah, the 1990 University of Texas study, often cited as proof. But the professors involved, Bovic and Acton, they explicitly stated their findings were nothing conclusive. They felt their results were misconstrued. Neither of them actually believed Brushy Bill was Billy the Kid.
So the proof isn't really proof.
Not according to the researchers themselves. And Brushy claimed he had all the scars Billy was supposed to have.
Did he?
While historical records suggest Billy was only shot once before his death in the thigh. Brushy claimed a facial scar from the Fort Sumner escape, but photos don't really back that up. And Billy's photos don't show it either. Plus, Brushy made tons of other wild claims about his life. Being a Rough Rider with Teddy Roosevelt, a mercenary for Pancho Villa, a pro boxer, rodeo champ, Wild West show performer, even a Pinkerton detective.
Wow. Any evidence for those?
Zero. Historians find absolutely no support for any of it. It undermines his credibility quite a bit.
And what about Brushy Bill Roberts himself? Did he just appear out of nowhere?
Not at all. And this is maybe the biggest nail in the coffin for the theory. Brushy Bill Roberts is documented. He appears on every U.S. census from 1880 right up until his death in 1950.
So he couldn't have been Billy the Kid hiding out.
Doesn't seem possible. It completely debunks that idea that he was some mysterious cousin who took Billy's place or something. The records show Brushy Bill Roberts living his own life.
So the historical consensus, it remains firm.
Extremely firm. You have to remember dozens of people at Fort Sumner saw Billy the Kid's dead body right after he was shot.
Right.
There was a public wake, a funeral, pretty much the whole town attended. The coroner's jury was made up of 6 men who knew Billy personally. They confirmed it was him.
And nobody from back then ever disputed it.
Nobody, not a single person who was actually there in Fort Sumner in July 1881 ever claimed it was a hoax. Not even years later, when some of them had outlived Pat Garrett. Not Garrett's deputies, not informants like Pete Maxwell. Nobody.
And the coroner's report itself.
It was actually found. The original report, written in Spanish, was discovered in a basement in the state capitol building back in 1932, copied and published. It confirms everything the contemporary accounts said.
So weighing it all up, the Brushy Bill story is, well, just a story.
A fascinating story, a persistent one, but yeah. Against the weight of actual historical evidence, it just doesn't hold up.
Okay. So, we've covered quite a journey here. From Henry McCarty's troubled beginnings to his transformation into the notorious Billy the Kid during that chaotic Lincoln County War.
Right, the regulators, the revenge.
His capture by Garrett, that incredible escape.
Audacious is the word for it.
And then his final, swift demise. And we've tackled those persistent myths surrounding his death.
Yeah, it's quite a story. His life was undeniably short, incredibly brutal. Yet the legend, it's just ballooned, hasn't it? Far outlasting the man himself.
It really has. And his story, it's more than just gunfights and escapes, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really reflects that tumultuous time in American history.
Absolutely. That period where order was so desperately needed, but lawlessness was rampant. Where personal loyalty, revenge, often counted for more than official justice.
And his allure. Why do you think it persists? He embodies this, untamed spirit, freedom from restraint.
Maybe that's part of it. That symbol resonates, even now. But it does make you think, doesn't it, about our fascination with the Wild West.
Yeah.
Why is it that this figure, who operated so clearly outside the law, continues to captivate us? It really challenges how we think about heroism, villainy, all of that.
That's a really good final thought. Maybe something for you, the listener, to mull over.
Yeah, consider how those forces that shaped Billy the Kid's life, personal tragedy, violent conflict, the raw struggle for power in a chaotic place, how echoes of those things might still shape narratives today, individualism, justice, sometimes in surprising ways.
Definitely something to think about.